Notice, this is not a paid advertisement or endorsement for this product. I merely like it, so I thought I would share and review. Good evening, John O'Flaherty, the B3 Burner. And what I have for you today is a discussion on separate detachable, or I should say attachable, camera lenses that you attach to your cell phone aftermarket to give you various views. And we're going to talk about that right now. So when you order these on Amazon, what do you get in the kit? Well, you get everything that's shown here. Of course, cell phone not included. You get the lenses, 6 separate lenses with lens covers, the lens cover clip that attaches the lens on one side and clips to the cell phone in front of the camera with the other. The idea of this is that many wide-angle and fisheye lens apps are digital and virtual, and they're fine for playing around, but if you want something that's actually functional and optical and real, you need to physically take a real lens, a real optical lens, and put it in front of the lens on your forward or backward facing cell phone camera lens. Okay, and this is a device that allows you to be able to do it, almost like the flexibility of exchanging lenses and changing them in and out on a professional DSLR that a professional photographer would use. The only difference is this is a little easier, much cheaper, and for about $20 you get some pretty good bang for your buck. So let's carefully dump the contents of the kit out on the table. And you see that I've already taken the liberty of numbering them myself, only because one of the things I've already noticed is that if you don't number them and have your own nomenclature, as it were, you will quickly get these and their functionality mixed up with one another. It is called, a Universal 8-in-1 Cell Phone Camera Lens Kit. And we already saw the front cover. These are your contents. And like I said, I pre-labeled it because I needed to use my own numbering system to keep track of them. 1 and 1A, a wide angle and a macro lens. And some of these have dual functionality depending on how you separate the lenses from one another. 2 is a fisheye lens, 3 is a telephoto lens, 4 is a CPL lens, a circular polarizer filter that allows you to boost color and contrast. 5 is a super fisheye lens with an additional macro, and then finally 6 is a 4/10 of 40% of a 1-to-1 ratio super wide angle lens. My advice as you're using this is to not get too stressed out about the instructions and what each lens does per description, but rather just experiment with them and see what each one does. But in the interest of my being super organized, I made a spreadsheet that outlined everything those instructions did so that my color-coded numbering system matches the numbering system I have here. So the idea is, like number 6, I see this already as one of the most useful lenses. Here, let me bring up the brightness a little bit. The super wide angle lens, 140-degree range of angle. And what this does is it places emphasis on the left to right horizontal width. And you can tell just by looking at it, well, that's the side that attaches to your camera. Here, let me take the lens cover off. And you can see that's quite a nice professional grade looking lens. Well, it's just an attachment that's designed to go over your cell phone camera. Now let me show you how this works. So what you would do, let me take lens number 1 out. This is an alligator clip, and one end attaches to the back of your cell phone camera and the other goes right into the lens. Okay, and the back of the clip hopefully does not block that hole. So what you would do in this situation is, I know you can't see it real well, let me turn it this way, but the side that takes the lens of the alligator clip is threaded, and the back of the lens that's intended to be closest to the cell phone and go into the clip is also threaded. Okay, so you screw them together, so you wind up with a lens, and that's the part that the fat part is the part that's going to phase out. Not all of them look like that, but that's the part that's phasing out, and this is the part that's going to attach to the camera. The back clip is not even going to be an issue, because pretend that the cell phone case is a cell phone camera. This hole facing out is your lens, your cell phone lens. You're going to clip it like this, put it on, and basically, if you line it up carefully, and you have to verify by looking at the viewfinder in your screen and making sure you're getting a clear image, this will line up with your cell phone camera just right, so that when you go to shoot, you will wind up with a wide angle view, and it will actually compensate or adjust your cell phone camera to a new and unique view, and that's the idea of it. And every one of these lenses come out of these covers and can be attached to the alligator clip receptacle and then put on the cell phone camera in front of the lens separately. So I'll show you some examples of when I was driving around in the car and using the wide angle lens and placing that cell phone caddy arm that attached to the windows in various places, and how I used that wide angle lens to my advantage to get better views while driving the car. And what I'll also do is we will mount the camera to a tripod and aim the view in the backyard so you can see how each lens behaves and compares to one another. Okay, so we'll use this view in the backyard as ground zero. The stock iPhone lens, and then alter them accordingly. So the first lens we're going to go to is lens number 1, which, as you recall, is a wide angle lens of 0.65 times, and a macro lens if you separate it out separately. Now, to use it as a wide angle lens, you have to have the macro and the wide angle used in concert with one another. Only the macro can be used separately all by itself. Now, we attach it to the outside camera, and this is a wide angle. And as I say, the edges might be a little fuzzy. It's not perfect. Remember, it's a lens over a stock lens, so it might not be, like if we zoom in, yeah, it's a little blurry. It's not perfect, but you can see that before, after, it adds a little bit more dimension. And there it is. Now, 1B, let's attach the macro by itself. And there it is. Now notice it's very blurry. That's because it's designed to look at something very close, like within 10 to 23 millimeters. So let's look at the lens cover. See? That's the lens cover. Or my finger. Which isn't a very good representation. Oh, here we go. Let's look at the instruction booklet. There we go. See? Nice and close. I mean, that's way close. Okay, so that's what macro is. Like 10 to 23 millimeters, I think it says. Here we go. Here, look at this. There's that piece of paper I was showing you. Number 1, macro and wide, macro, super macro. 10 to 23 millimeters. Basically, it's a lens that almost acts like a microscope lens. And so it would be for specific things like taking pictures of flowers and what have you. Take it off and then we're back to normal. Okay, lens number 2 is a fisheye with 180 degree range of lens view. It doesn't say if it's horizontal or in all directions. I'm gonna guess it's 360. There it is. And this is having a heck of a time focusing. I'm not sure I'm liking this. So this is a problematic lens. You know, this means I probably wouldn't be using this one. Yeah, this would serve very little purpose in my bag of tricks because I can't get it to focus. It'd be interesting to see is if I turn the camera around and face it this way. Nah, still kind of blurry. I'm not impressed. I'm really not impressed. And I can't even use the zoom lens. Oh, I can't use the zoom lens because it's facing inward. Yeah. So try as I might, the number 2 fisheye lens appears to be a bust. This is not one in the gig bag that I would be using. Too bad. Okay, number 3 is a telephoto lens. The pink one. It says magnification 2 times, range 100 degrees, remarks, 2 elements in 2 groups. I don't know what that means. Body installed, mobile phone to be extended to 2 times the focal length of the apparatus. So it's attached to the alligator clip. Let's hook it up. And it would almost be like pulling in the digital zoom by just a little bit. Not with it there, with it there. And it's always a trick of the tail getting it lined up so that you don't see the black corners of the circle. All right, so let's zoom all the way in and see that display with the baseballs on it, and let's see how much closer it gets it. Yeah, see? And a little bit of focus quality is lost, some clarity, but yeah, that's not bad. Now that's with the digital zoom all the way in, plus optical zoom, 2 times optical zoom, and that's the digital zoom all the way in stock without optical zoom. With optical zoom, lens number 3, without optical zoom. Now pull it out and we'll go to lens number 4. Okay, next lens number 4 is unique in that it doesn't do any magnification or fisheyeing or wide angle. It's called a circular polarizer filter, the one I've coated in light green. And it doesn't seem to do any magnification. It doesn't have a specified range angle. All it does is it boosts coloring contrast and improves picture quality. So let's put it on and see if we notice a difference. This is default, and this is with it on. And it could be that this particular scenery doesn't really do it a justice. Before and after doesn't seem, it seems to remove harsh brightness and smooth it out a little bit. Let me try something different. Okay, they said it makes blue skies bluer. All right, so let's point the camera up. Okay, and lock it on the blue sky, right? Which I'm having a hard time do. Okay, so we got a white chimney, green trees, a blue sky, and barking dogs. And let's put it in front. What it does seems to do is it seems to mellow out the sky and tone down the contrast. The dark spots get brighter, the bright spots get darker. And it seems to regulate the color variance a little bit. And makes the photo image look a little bit more subdued and professional. That's all I can get out of it. Okay, lens number 5, which I've coded in orange, is another one of those A-B sections, super fisheye and macro. So when the two are used together, it's a fisheye, 235 degree angle range. That's huge. And that's all it's going to say. And the macro is 19 times macro, and in order to use that, the 19 times macro needs to be unscrewed and separated from the 235 degree fisheye to work. So let's start with the 235 degree fisheye lens. This is stock, and there it is. And as you can see, that is a true fisheye in the sense that it creates a wide angle in all directions, 360 degrees, like a fish's eye, as opposed to a wide angle which doesn't distort the vertical but distorts the horizontal from left to right. And there is a little bit of loss of clarity and blur, but if you're looking for a super fisheye wide angle, this is how you would want to go. Okay, 5B is the macro lens, the 19 times macro lens by itself. Remember, I said that the fisheye, the 230 degree fisheye, 235 I meant, had to be detached from the macro for the macro to work. So here goes the macro. Oh, good Lord. So that must be for like really, really close magnification. So let's take this piece of paper, and I mean, yeah, that's almost like looking at a magnifying glass. It doesn't even tell me how many millimeters that's for, but I can tell you right now, just looking at it, that's about 2 millimeters. That's about 2 millimeters. I mean, that's for, that's for entomologists taking pictures of ticks and fleas. I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, that's like looking at a microscope. Okay, that's too close. Yeah, I would hazard a guess that's about 1 millimeter. So that's a very powerful macro lens. Nice attachment for those purposes, but most of the time I won't be shooting that. And then finally, number 6, the super wide angle, which I've coded in purple. Super wide angle lens, 0.4 times or 40% of a regular 1-to-1 ratio lens, 140 degree range, which is decent, but much less than 235. An emphasis on left to right horizontal width, which is actually perfect for wide angle, because unlike a fisheye, you do not want to emphasize wide angle distortion in all 360 degrees. You only want to do it horizontally from left to right. So let me attach it, which I should have done before. Great, I just dropped it on the ground and probably broke it. So if I had a criticism about this lens kit, it would be that because it's kind of aftermarket and hokey, screwing and unscrewing the lenses is a little bit difficult. And you can see at 140 degrees, that's a very decent and reasonable compromise. The only caveat is if you do not center the lens perfectly over the cell phone's default lens, you will get image tearing. So it'll distort sideways because you're basically putting a lens over a lens, and if they don't line up perfectly, you're distorting the image. And so this is what I used when I drove the car the other night, both when I mounted the camera against the front windshield passenger side facing me while I was driving, and mounted it on the right rear side window facing me over my right shoulder. And this is probably my favorite lens number 6, but those are all the lenses in the kit, and that's how the product works. In conclusion, there it is. As I say, not a perfect solution, but if you're not in the market for an expensive DSLR digital camera with expensive detachable lenses, and you just want to use your cell phone with as much variety and versatility as you can, for this price, it's a good option. So in conclusion, some of the pros I see are 1, the price, 2, the ease of use, 3, multiple lenses and great functionality once you get it all set up, and 4, real optics in general are better than virtual digital lens simulation. However, some of the negatives I see, or cons, is 1, with that low price, relatively speaking, comes consumer grade quality that isn't quite up to par with DSLR or the lenses you would get at a professional photography shop. You do get lens over lens distortion if you don't center it perfectly. The clip blocks the microphone in flash. And today, number 4, it may not be necessary with a lot of today's modern cell phones that already come with 2 or 3 lenses standard. But for iPhone 7 or 8 and back, where you only have 1 lens, it could certainly prove very useful. So that concludes my review of the Memteq attachable lens system for cell phones. I'm B3 Burner, and I'll see you later.